Yes, good morning, all of you. So now that we have done with the male reproductive system, we go into a very nice part called as the histology of the testis. So, what exactly do you mean by the word histology? A microscopic study of any tissue is called as its histology. When you see any tissue, cut any tissue and put it under the microscope, that is called as its histology. So testis के histology में क्या दिखेगा आपको? Nice points. Let's see this. Suppose first we take a vertical section or a longitudinal section of the testis. Testis को पकड़ के ऊपर से नीचे उसको कट करो and open the testis into two parts, and you see on the longitudinal section or the vertical section an appearance like this. So what will the testis show? Sir, if you all would remember, here we have spermatic cord, which has come out through the inguinal canal along with the testis. And this spermatic cord then encloses the testis to form an outermost covering, which is called as the tunica vaginalis. फर्स्ट लेक्चर में किया था वो. तो continuation of peritoneum through the inguinal canal, spermatic cord. Spermatic cord covers the testis and is called tunica vaginalis. Tunica vaginalis will give mechanical support to the testis. So mechanical support is given by tunica vaginalis. Just under the tunica vaginalis is found a hard capsule called as tunica albuginea. Tunica albuginea is made of white fibrous connective tissue. White fibrous connective tissue is a very hard tissue. It's like a capsule, and this capsule called tunica albuginea will protect the testis. So, testis is situated outside the abdomen in the scrotum. So there is always a danger of a mechanical injury and the testis may get damaged. Who will protect the testis? This capsule called tunica albuginea protects the testis from mechanical injuries. It's a hard capsule. And lining inside the testis are found many capillaries. तो capillaries की एक layer होती है. That layer of blood capillaries is called as the tunica vasculosa. Vascular means blood vessel. तो ये blood vessels, capillaries की layer है. It is called tunica vasculosa. It will provide nourishment to the testis. Nutrition मिलेगा testis को via blood capillaries of the tunica vasculosa. So we have tunica vaginalis, which is the outermost covering, and that is for mechanical support. Then we have the capsule called tunica albuginea, which is for protection of the testes. And then we have blood capillaries forming tunica vasculosa, which will provide nourishment to the testes. And the capsule called tunica albuginea, ये जो tunica albuginea capsule है, उसमें से finger-like projections enter the testes, and these finger-like projections are called as septa. तो ये septum, and septa divide the interior of the testis into compartments, which are called as lobules. तो tunica albuginea कैप्सूल से सेप्टा अंदर जाते हैं एंड उससे कंपार्टमेंट्स बनते हैं which are called as lobules, and in these lobules are found highly coiled tubes which are called as seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules, highly coiled tubes are present. And in one lobule, there may be up to 1 to 4 seminiferous tubules. 1 से 4 seminiferous tubule होते हैं, and there are a total of 250 lobules. 250 lobules होते हैं, and each lobule has in it 1 to 4 seminiferous tubules. So you may have up to 1,000 seminiferous tubules in such a small testis. Why so many seminiferous tubules are there? It is inside these seminiferous tubules that sperms are produced by the process of spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis takes place inside the seminiferous tubules. Every day, millions of sperms are produced inside the seminiferous tubules. And then from the seminiferous tubules, sperms enter into tubes which are called as straight tubules. And from straight tubules, all the sperms collect in a network which is called rete testis. So from seminiferous tubules, sperms go into straight tubules. From straight tubules, they enter into rete testis. And sperms from all the seminiferous tubules accumulate in the rete testis. And now we know, from the rete testis, sperms pass behind into 15 to 20 tubes called as vasa efferentia. And from the vasa efferentia, they pass into the epididymis. And from epididymis, they enter the vas deferens and are carried out of the body. So, in what sequence has sperms been produced and delivered? sperms have been produced in the seminiferous tubules. They go into straight tubules, then they enter into the retitestis, then into the vasa efferentia, and from vasa efferentia into the epididymis, and then through the vas efferens, sperms go out. Nice logic. Now the question is, how are sperms produced? ये beautiful point है. Let's understand this, sir. Now we take a transverse section of the testis. Testis का एक transverse section लेते हैं, cutting through the seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule को cut करते हुए, and see it under the microscope. So, if this is the seminiferous tubule and ये seminiferous tubule है, हमने एक cut section लिया यहाँ, and we remove the upper part. ऊपर वाली tubes निकाल देते हैं, and we are seeing the lower part. ये नीचे वाला part देख रहे हैं हम लोग, ये वाला, ये वाला, and ये वाला देख रहे हैं, and we are seeing inside the seminiferous tubule. तो seminiferous tubule के अंदर देख रहे हैं, which is the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. Any empty space is called lumen. तो lumen को देख रहे हैं, and now we are seeing that. We are seeing the lumen of a seminiferous tubule. We are seeing the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. We are seeing the lumens of the seminiferous tubules. And what do we see? In the lumen of the seminiferous tubules, we find many cells. Inside the seminiferous tubule, we have many small rounded cells, which are the spermatogenic cells. Cells which are undergoing spermatogenesis. तो वो cells दिख रहे हैं, and ये देखो sperms दिख रहे हैं. तो spermatogenesis हो रहा है और sperms बन रहे हैं. So these are spermatogenic cells. And then we have tall pyramid-shaped cells, which are called as Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. तो ये है seminiferous tubule, उसके अंदर ये spermatogenic cells और ये Sertoli cells. और between the seminiferous tubules के बीच में होता है groups of cells which are called as interstitial cells. Interstitial cells, also called Leydig cells. Interstitial cells, also called Leydig cells, are seen. तो कौन से cells देखे हमने? We saw spermatogenic cells, we saw Sertoli cells, and we saw Leydig cells. ऐसे अलग-अलग cells दिख रहे हैं आपको. सबसे पहले you have spermatogenic cells. Sir, at the periphery of each seminiferous tubule, you find a layer of cells which are called as germinal cells. Germinal cells are mother cells. they will divide to form daughter cells, which will be sperms. Similarly, ovary में भी होते हैं germinal cells. They will undergo cell division to form ovum or egg. So the mother cells are called germinal cells. They are cuboidal cells, tube-shaped cells. And when a child is born, he is having only germinal cells and Sertoli cells. Germinal cells or Sertoli cells होते हैं. And बाद में at puberty, the germinal cells start undergoing cell division, a process called as spermatogenesis begins, and the cells will divide in a specific sequence. तो पहले तो ये sequence ध्यान से सुन लेना. So germinal cells first form cells which are called spermatogonia. Spermatogonia divide to form primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes divide to form secondary spermatocytes. And secondary spermatocytes divide to form spermatids. And spermatids form mature sperms, which are called as spermatozoa. Oh, tough names here. What is the sequence, sir? Periphery पे थी germinal cells. What do germinal cells form? Spermatogonia. What do spermatogonia form? Primary spermatocytes. What do primary spermatocytes form? Secondary spermatocytes. What do secondary spermatocytes form? Spermatids. And what do spermatids form? Mature sperms, which are called as spermatozoa. Now, how will this process take place? Sir, ये बहुत important है. कुछ important concepts. Now, school में ये किया ही है, but in case for those students who have not done it, every cell of our body is diploid, and we have 46 chromosomes in every cell. तो ये सेल है और सेल के अंदर न्यूक्लियस है. न्यूक्लियस में 46 क्रोमोसोम्स होते हैं in the form of 23 pairs. 23 pairs of chromosomes होते हैं. And so totally we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, of which 22 pairs are called as autosomes or somatic chromosomes, and one pair is allosomes or sex chromosomes. Now, what do you mean by that? So, somatic chromosomes or autosomes. ये है chromosome, somatic or autosome. Chromosomes have on them genes, and autosomes or somatic chromosomes have on them genes for producing body characteristics. So there is, say, gene for heart, gene for lung, gene for liver, gene for pancreas, gene for thyroid gland. तो आपके बॉडी के जितने भी ऑर्गन्स है, सिस्टम्स है, उसके जीन्स जो होते हैं जिसमें से वो बॉडी पार्ट्स बनेंगे, they are found on 22 pairs of autosomes or somatic chromosomes जो बॉडी पार्ट्स बनाते हैं. One pair is called allosomes or sex chromosomes. These are of two types, X chromosome and Y chromosome. X chromosome is for females and Y chromosome is for males. So X and Y. X के ऊपर there is gene for ovary, gene for fallopian tube, gene for uterus, gene for vagina. X chromosome से female reproductive system बनता है. Y chromosome पे there is gene for testes, gene for testosterone, gene for vas deferens, gene for prostate gland, Cowper's gland, penis, etc. उसके genes होते हैं. So X female के लिए, Y male के लिए. Sir, females में होते हैं 44 autosomes, in other words 22 pairs of autosomes and XX sex chromosome. X and X जिससे female बनेगा. Males, however, have 44 autosomes and they have XY sex chromosome. X and Y sex chromosome. अरे तो you would wonder, X chromosome है और Y chromosome है, तो X chromosome के genes are for female organs और Y chromosome के genes are for male organs. तो मेल में X और Y दोनों हैं, तो मेल में फीमेल ऑर्गन्स क्यों नहीं बनते हैं? एक दिन करेंगे हम लोग डिटेल में. Genes show something called dominance and recessiveness. Genes of Y chromosome in the presence of X chromosome, Y chromosome gene X chromosome के ऊपर dominant हो जाता है and X chromosome का gene recessive हो जाता है. Recessive, in other words, X chromosome का gene will not form the X chromosome characteristic, female characteristics नहीं बनाएगा and वो recessive है. Y chromosome gene becomes dominant and it will produce organs of the male reproductive system. So dominance and recessiveness होता है between the X and Y chromosome. So what do females have? Diploid cells, 44 autosomes and XX sex chromosome. What do males have? 44 autosomes and XY sex chromosome. So at the moment we are talking of males. So sir, what was present at the periphery of the seminiferous tubule? If you remember, germinal cells. And वापस a sequence. What have germinal cells formed? Spermatogonia, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatid, sperm. So sir, once again, germ cells. What do they form? Spermatogonia. What will they form? Primary spermatocytes. What will they form? Secondary spermatocytes. What will they form? spermatids. What do spermatids form? Sperms or spermatozoa. अब ध्यान से सुनना, germ cells are diploid. 44 plus XY, male. At puberty, germ cells start undergoing cell division, a type of cell division called mitosis. Mitosis में chromosome number remains the same. So 44XY will remain 44XY. And these dividing cells are called as spermatogonia. Singular spermatogonium. Spermatogonia are diploid. They have 44XY diploid. Spermatogonia enlarge, size में बड़े होते हैं to form primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte. And primary spermatocyte, please ध्यान से सुनना, now undergo cell division but not mitosis. They undergo meiosis. And meiosis is a type of cell division in which chromosome number becomes half. So 44XY will now become 22X and 22Y. तो ये आपका 44XY था, and जब cell division meiosis होता है, cell will divide like this. And ये एक cell, ये दूसरा cell, और यहां आ गए 22X, and यहां आ गया 22Y. 22Y. And these cells are now called haploid cells. Diploid has become haploid. Chromosome number आधा हो गया. And these haploid cells are formed by meiosis, and primary spermatocyte has undergone meiosis to become haploid secondary spermatocytes. तो ये जो haploid cells बने वो कौन है? Secondary spermatocyte, which is the first haploid cell formed during spermatogenesis. The first haploid cells are secondary spermatocytes. It takes place by meiosis, which is called reduction division. Chromosome number got reduced, so it is called reduction division. And meiosis, maybe you have heard of it, for somebody maybe a new point. Meiosis ना दो steps में होता है, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is reduction division, and chromosome number becomes half. So that is meiosis 1. Meiosis 2 is same as mitosis. So cells will divide, but chromosome number will remain the same. So 22X will become 22x 22x, and 22y will become 22y 22y, and 4 cells are formed now. These 4 cells are called as spermatids. So, golden words. A primary spermatocyte diploid has undergone meiosis 1, reduction division, in which chromosome number becomes half and becomes haploid cells, which are called as secondary spermatocytes. Secondary spermatocytes are already haploid and they will undergo meiosis 2, which is like mitosis, and will form 22x 22x and 22y 22y, 4 haploid cells called as spermatids. तो सर एक प्राइमरी स्पर्मेटोसाइट से कितने स्पर्मेटिड्स बने? 4. अच्छा, एक सेकेंडरी स्पर्मेटोसाइट से कितने स्पर्मेटिड्स बने? 2. ये याद रखना, 1 primary spermatocyte will form 2 secondary spermatocytes and 4 spermatids by meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Huh. 1 secondary spermatocyte forms 2 spermatids. Now, beautiful. तो इस तरह से spermatids बन गए. Sir, that process, इसके कुछ नाम दिए गए हैं, not given in your books. You may remember this. Germ cells, when they underwent mitosis to form spermatogonia, that is called as multiplication phase. उसे multiplication phase कहते हैं. Spermatogonia enlarges to form primary spermatocyte. That is called growth phase. उसे growth phase कहते हैं. And primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. That is called maturation phase. तो mitosis को क्या कहा था हमने? Multiplication phase. Enlargement को क्या कहा हमने? Growth phase. And meiosis 1, meiosis 2 हुआ. What is that phase called as? Maturation phase. So meiosis is the maturation phase. And how many cells are formed, sir? 4 spermatids. ध्यान से, 2 of them are 22x 22x and 2 of them are 22y 22y. So these are with X and Y chromosomes separated from each other. And spermatids जो बने हैं from germ cells till spermatids is called as spermatogenesis. Germ cells till spermatids is called spermatogenesis क्योंकि cell division हो रहा था. Now spermatids don't divide. Cell division बंद हो गया. They undergo structural changes. उसके अंदर एक हेड बनता है, बॉडी बनता है, टेल बनता है, एंड ये स्ट्रक्चरली चेंज होता है. इट अंडरगोज मेटामॉर्फोसिस. जैसे टैडपोल कैसे फ्रॉग में मेटामॉर्फोसिस होता है, सिमिलरली स्पर्मेटिड्स डिवाइड नहीं होते हैं, they undergo structural changes and are now called sperms or spermatozoa. And that process is called as spermiogenesis. So what was mitosis, enlargement, meiosis, called as spermatogenesis, cell division, spermatogenesis. And after cell division stops, what is structural changes of spermatids to become sperms called as spermiogenesis? So this is the way beautifully sperms are formed. These cells were called as spermatogenic cells. So then we have cells of Sertoli, also called sustentacular cells or nurse cells. नाम से मालूम पड़ रहा है. Cells of Sertoli, called sustentacular cells or nurse cells. Nurse cells will nourish the sperms. So यहाँ continuously आपके seminiferous tubule में cell division हो रहा है and sperms बन रहे हैं. So you need nourishment for this. Sertoli cells are rich in fructose and they will provide energy for cell division and nourishment देते हैं. इसलिए उनको Sertoli cells or nurse cells कहते हैं. And once the sperms are produced, these sperms get attached to the Sertoli cells and their sperms now absorb nourishment from the Sertoli cells and start passing through the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. अभी तक उसकी टेल की मोटिलिटी बराबर से हुई नहीं है. Very poor motility. If you remember, main motility उसकी आएगी while maturing in the epididymis. But sperms को pass तो होना है ना. Sperms have to go from seminiferous tubule into straight tubule into retitestis into vasa efferentia and then into epididymis. So sperms का very poor mobility takes place and they pass from seminiferous tubule, straight tubule, retitestis, and then of course vasa efferentia में तो you remember ciliary movement से ही pass हो गए. And then in the epididymis, sperms will properly become motile. But हल्का सा movement होता है sperms का in the seminiferous tubule. And for that, you need energy. And who provided that energy? That energy was provided by Sertoli cells. Or उस process of sperms attaching to Sertoli cells and then getting released from the seminiferous tubules is a process called as spermiation. उसे spermiation कहते हैं. Sperms are attached to Sertoli cells, absorb fructose from it, and slowly release out from the seminiferous tubule. That is called as spermiation. ये तो 3 words हमें याद रखने हैं. What is cell division called? Spermatogenesis. What is spermatid becoming sperm called? By forming a tail, head, body called spermiogenesis. And what are Sertoli cells providing nourishment to the sperms and then sperms going out through seminiferous tubules called spermiation. So we had spermatogenesis, cell division, spermatid to sperm called spermiogenesis, and Sertoli cells providing nourishment to sperms, and then they passing out of the seminiferous tubule is called spermiation. Then we have between the seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules के बीचों बीच there are isolated groups of endocrine cells. Endocrine cells means hormone secreting cells. And here, between seminiferous tubules, there is a lot of packing material. It is called interstitial space. Seminiferous tubule के बीच की जो space है, interstitial space. And उस interstitial space में you have isolated groups of cells which are called as Leydig cells, also called as interstitial cells. And Leydig cells or interstitial cells, we remember, are endocrine, means they produce hormones. And Leydig cells produce that main sex hormone called as testosterone. So testosterone जो बनता है, it is produced by your Leydig cells or interstitial cells. What age is testosterone produced? Same age, puberty. So spermatogenesis starts at puberty. Testosterone production also starts at puberty. And sir, what will testosterone do? Testosterone will go from the Leydig cells out of the testis and perform many functions in the male. सबसे पहले, it will at the age of 12-13 develop male secondary sexual characteristics. Secondary sexual characteristics, growth of hair on the face. 12-13 की एज पे बॉयज देखते हैं हल्की सी मूंछ आ रही है, दाढ़ी आ रही है, और जैसे जैसे आपकी उम्र बढ़ेगी, with more and more testosterone, you will have a proper mustache and beard. That is because of testosterone. Your hair develops on chest. आपके armpits में hair आता है, आपके abdominal region में hair आता है, and just above the penis आपका pubic hair आता है. All because of testosterone. And your voice becomes deeper. So testosterone acts on your Adam's apple, your voice box, your larynx. And if you all boys observe, आपका larynx, voice box protrude हो रहा है. Girls में ऐसा नहीं होता है. So your voice box is becoming a little larger in size because of testosterone. और voice box में muscles called vocal cords होते हैं, और वो vocal cords के vibrate होने से sound होता है. So because your voice box is getting enlarged, vocal cords stretch होते हैं और आपका आवाज deep हो जाता है, masculine, husky voice आ जाता है. Shoulders आपके broad हो रहे हैं, broadening of shoulders, and narrow hip, hip narrow हो रही है. Shoulders become broader, hips become narrower and the classical V-shaped physique आने लगता है because of testosterone. Testosterone also increases your skeleton. आपकी height बढ़ा रहा है. Sir, school में याद है, boys and girls in the same class or of the same height. But suddenly, of late, आपकी boys की height tremendously बढ़ रही है. And you all becoming 6 feet tall. That is because of testosterone acting on your bones and stimulating rapid cell division along with growth hormone. तो growth hormone और testosterone दोनों की मदद से tremendous cell division होता है और आपकी height बढ़ती है. Along with height, muscular development takes place. Testosterone makes your muscles stronger and increase in strength of muscles take place because of testosterone. The penis becomes enlarged. Sir, एक बच्चे की penis relatively छोटी होती है. But at puberty, testosterone acts on the penis और penis लंबी हो जाती है, elongate होती है. And why should the penis become elongated? So it can undergo a proper erection. And along with growth of the penis, functioning of sex glands begin. Sir, testosterone आपके seminal vesicle, prostate gland और Cowper's gland को stimulate करता है and semen production begins. Till puberty, तो तीन gland का कोई काम नहीं था, sperms ही नहीं बन रहे थे. अब sperms तो बन रहे हैं, तो ejaculation करने के लिए semen चाहिए. And all three glands, seminal, prostate, and Cowper's, are stimulated by testosterone and they will start producing semen. And psychologically, testosterone acts on your brain and makes males become aggressive. Females are becoming with age more mature, more mellow, and boys become more aggressive. They like football, cricket, contact sports. Girls wouldn't be interested in boxing, etc. So, sir, yeah, ho sakta hai, some of you might, but sir, generally it is boys who like the aggression in everything. And that is because of testosterone. And classically, one day we will talk in detail. आपके brain में होता है एक part called as the limbic system. And testosterone acts on the limbic system and creates an attraction for the opposite sex. तो लिम्बिक सिस्टम में सेल्स होते हैं. अब मैं लेक्चर के बाद आपको और थोड़ा डिटेल में बताता हूं. And it will create, testosterone will act on the limbic system and create a sexual attraction and a psychological attraction for females. That happens because of testosterone acting on limbic system. Now the question is, sir, why did spermatogenesis start at puberty? Why does testosterone get produced at puberty? So, sir, who is controlling all this? Why not before puberty? Or why not after 25 years of age? Sir, आपके ब्रेन में एक पार्ट होता है called as the hypothalamus. Beautiful. One day we'll talk in detail about it. hypothalamus is your biological clock. It has a calculation of every second, minute, year of your entire life. So it's your clock. It knows everything. And at puberty, 12 to 13 years of age, your hypothalamus, your biological clock, starts secreting a hormone called as gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. And gonadotropin releasing hormone acts on your pituitary gland. And pituitary gland दो parts का होता है. There is something called anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. So gonadotropin releasing hormone anterior pituitary पे act करता है, and the anterior pituitary starts giving out hormones called as gonadotropins. नाम से मालूम पड़ रहा है. Gonadotropins, tropins are pituitary hormones. And gonadotropins are pituitary hormones which will act on gonads. Testis, we remember, is your gonad. So gonadotropins act on your testis. And gonadotropins दो टाइप के होते हैं, namely FSH and LH. FSH and LH, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. And LH, luteinizing hormone. By the way, Monday I'll teach you in more detail. LH, luteinizing hormone, is also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cell stimulating hormone. अरे नाम से मालूम पड़ रहा है LH और interstitial cell stimulating hormone will stimulate the interstitial cells. Interstitial cells, also called Leydig cells. If you remember, Leydig cells are called as interstitial cells, and LH, also called ICSH, luteinizing hormone, also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone, stimulates the Leydig cells, which starts giving out testosterone. The androgens are released out. And just write it in your books, all of you. Testosterone stimulates spermatogenesis. Testosterone से spermatogenesis होता है. So this entire process of cell division of germ cells forming spermatids, पूरा जो cell division process था, that process called spermatogenesis is stimulated by testosterone. And FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, also acts on the seminiferous tubule and Sertoli cell. So FSHB, it will act on the seminiferous tubules and Sertoli cells, and it will help in spermatogenesis also, but mainly it will help in spermiogenesis. So you remember, spermatid giving out tail to form sperm, which is called spermiogenesis. is done by FSH. So FSH helps in spermatogenesis along with testosterone. Both testosterone and FSH help in spermatogenesis. But FSH also helps in spermiogenesis. So spermatid 2 sperm banta hai, which is spermiogenesis. That is also done by FSH. Beautiful. And now I'll just tell you something very nice. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स के माइंड में ये क्वेश्चन होगा, सर testosterone acts on the limbic system and creates attraction for females. Similarly, females may, there is estrogen progesterone which acts on their limbic system and produces attraction for males. तो सर कभी कभी homosexuals हो जाते हैं. Homosexuals have attraction for the same sex. तो ये कैसे हो जाता है? Of course ये कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है आपको. आपकी जो लिम्बिक सिस्टम में है ना, उसमें दो टाइप के सेल्स होते हैं called alpha and beta, and it is testosterone which acts on the beta cell and produces attraction for females, and estrogen progesterone acts on alpha cells and creates attraction for males. Now, in some people, there is a genetic mutation. उसका जीन जो है वो म्यूटेट हो जाता है, and it is a receptor. ये से एक सेल बनता है, but sir ये बीटा सेल की जगह अल्फा सेल जैसा बन जाता है, और अल्फा सेल की जगह बीटा सेल जैसा बन जाता है. तो अल्फा एंड बीटा सेल्स स्विच हो जाते हैं, and now testosterone will act on the alpha cells and create an attraction for males, and beta cells के ऊपर estrogen progesterone आ जाता है which creates attraction for females. तो एक जीन की मदद से रिसेप्टर्स अल्फा बीटा सेल्स का पोजीशन अगर स्विच हो गया या उनका एक्टिविटी बाय ईस्ट्रोजन प्रोजेस्टेरोन टेस्टोस्टेरोन स्विच हो गया, it can lead to homosexuality. Of course, this is one of the reasons. Secondly, lot of stress. अगर environmental stress बहुत है बच्चों को, पेरेंटल अब्यूज होता है या एनवायरमेंट में स्ट्रेस बहुत होता है, has a very stressful life, there are observations that males get attracted to other males because they are in a male company, and females get attracted to females because they are more and large in a female company. तो एनवायरमेंट से भी होता है, एंड अल्फा और बीटा सेल के रिवर्सल से भी होता है attraction for opposite sex. So I hope you all have understood this. Bye bye dear, take care.